Hello, world, and welcome to our podcast where two pals with different viewpoints and thoughts who really don't know much discuss news, politics, conspiracy theories, and more. One's a genius and the other is an idiot. Or are they both idiots?
Or are they both geniuses?
You be the judge. Now, live from beautiful Central Florida, welcome to Political No Brainer, where your hosts are to your extreme right and always right, Zach, and to your left,
And
over there
always
somewhere.
left.
Always left outside. It's Coach Trippy. And tonight we have an amazing guest.
A special guest for the second time, so
Second
she's
time
coming
because
back.
Second
we,
time.
we got rave reviews last time.
We
They wanted us
did.
to bring her back, so we brought her back.
What, two people enjoyed
Yes,
it?
that's all
Yeah,
that matters.
we're growing,
kidding.
and they were rave
Kidding.
reviews.
Rave
That's
reviews.
great.
Why are you beating up our podcast already?
Just teasing.
Anyway,
Just
LA's
having
LA
fun.
is joining us this evening. And
Thank-
I'm
Thanks for having
sorry.
me back.
I'm sorry about her echo. She's in our kitchen and there's no like sound dampening out there.
Zach's traveling the world today.
I am. Look, I'm going to do that commercial. I found this secret secluded place with my cottage. I'm practicing gratuity and gratification. And I don't know. That's a dumb commercial. But anyway,
Yoga,
yogurt. I'll practice yogurt.
coconut.
So anyway, hey, we got lots to talk about tonight. Most importantly, let's start off with last week's debate.
Can I
Dun,
can I
dun,
open
dun.
can I open with scripture?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So Ecclesiastes 10:2 says, "The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool to the
Yes.
left."
I was waiting for that.
The heart.
Just thought I would throw that out there.
No, I appreciate it. I am the foolish.
That
Eternal.
is from the Word of God.
Oh, Trippy, you asked for it. You said, "Hey,
I said,
Lorianne
Lorianne's gonna beat me up. I'm ready.
on."
I'm ready.
I told her to be nice.
No.
Do it with love.
I'm gonna sit on my hands and then I won't, because I get emotional and I start talking with my hands and I'll be like,
That's okay, because I think Zach is posting everything on YouTube.
okay.
Oh, it's YouTube. I thought it was you boob because you're a boob. Anyway, so we're going to talk about
speaking
last.
of boobs, let's
Yes.
talk about the debate.
Oh,
Was that two boobs or one?
I'm gonna say there were two boobs there, but
especially
What
let
can
me
we
tell you.
do?
Let's get to the debate. I thought. All right, I'm going to admit it. CNN did a really good job moderating.
They did.
I thought it was going to be completely biased. But I
well,
believe
the whole
I
setup-
believe.
I'm sorry, the whole setup was completely biased. They did
Right.
everything they could to ensure that President Biden would be able to coherently express his thoughts. To have no audience, to have
Right.
zero audience, zero distractions, and then to have
They didn't even
commercial
let any of
breaks.
the news in there. Yeah, no commercial.
Right, no, with commercial breaks to give him a break. And so, I mean, they really like set it up for him to hit it home. But
I will say they did
Well-
a successful 90-minute commercial for Depends because there's no way they stood there for 90 minutes without having.
Well,
to go to
here's the thing
bathroom.
about CNN they didn't set it up. It was agreed on. Those are definitely all the things you see there, whether there's an audience or not, whether
He
there's
did.
a
Trump
cut the
agreed to
mics
it.
off.
it still leaned very much towards
But
Biden.
I mean, and I'm going to play
muted
the.
microphones, all of that. That was all.
Well, I'm going to play a little
Well, the
devil's
muted
advocate
microphones
because.
came from the last debate where they were just shouting each other down. So they
Right,
said
and I'm
that's
gonna,
going to
I'm
be a
gonna
must.
look. I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this because Trump did agree to everything. He didn't have to.
No.
He,
didn't.
and I
Trump's the
I
one
think
that
he
said-
walked into the lion's den knowing it was the lion's den, and
Right.
I think he stood his own ground. He did fine. I think that the like I was getting to, it got a little silly at one point. You know, the highlight of the debate was when they were arguing over golf games. I mean, that was
Right.
I was like, come on.
But they both argue that point.
Yeah, it was that was the best argument they had all night.
I mean, I wouldn't have participated in that. I can honestly say my first instinct would have been I'm not taking part in this. If I was just say happened to be polling and made it to the debate, I would say I'm opting out of this part of the conversation.
Because I don't even play golf.
For both of them to do that was silly.
Come on, Jack, I'll take you on. No, I just look. I watched the whole thing. I almost no, I felt bad for him. I really think I feel his age and his health is just really not.
Well, it is
I,
deteriorating. His age, he's also 81, and he has been on the job the last 4 years, which is a very cumbersome job.
yeah, because
So
every president. Have you ever noticed every president when they have their inauguration picture and then their last picture there, they're like pure
they've
white
aged
hair and they've
30 years,
aged. Yeah,
30
yeah.
years
I mean,
versus the
Obama
8 years.
looked like he was like 70 when he got out of the White House.
Well, he's till today, he still looks a lot older than when he went in. So it
Yeah.
took its toll on him. But,
It's a
you
stressful
know,
job. I've said this 100,000 times. You couldn't pay me enough to be president.
but here's the thing now. I can say I would rather have another candidate, but would you rather have another candidate?
Yeah, but the candidate they're talking about is Kamala, and I'm sorry.
No.
No.
They actually
There's
I
no
said hold
formal
on.
opinions. There's
I
no
sent
formal
some.
opinions on who it may be, if not.
They're throwing that out there.
Oh,
I
there's a
sent you
lot of stuff
something.
getting thrown out there. But I saw it. I saw 8 candidates, and one was Greg Newsom. I saw
Oh,
Kamala. I
This is terrible.
saw whatever. They're going to pick the candidate that they think has the best chance. The other,
well, they shouldn't pick the candidate. It should go to the people to pick the candidate.
well, at this point, it's.
Sorry, but if they pick the candidate, then
Well,
that's
I can
wrong.
assure you, the DNC is going to pick the candidate at this
Well,
point.
that's terrible. The American people should be able to pick who they want to run. You should do a whole primary and they should all have to go through and the American people should be able to vote and decide.
If I were a guessing person and a betting person, I'm betting the decision will be made by somebody other than the majority of the American people.
I thought I sent you a link that had the list of candidates that
So,
they
but
were
it's again,
talking
it's
about.
another published article. We don't know who
You're
published it versus it. Is it even really a discussion? Because my discussions I've heard is that it's not
trippy.
even
Come on.
feasible.
It was on the internet. It's got to be true.
I've heard it's not even feasible to replace Joe Biden at this point. I've literally heard that the real process is he would have to release his delegates at the convention, and that's how you would decide a candidate is by the delegates deciding the candidate.
Well, because they haven't officially nominated him.
Well, they do have sworn delegates, committed delegates, and those committed delegates, there's 99% are Biden's committed delegates. So that
Has now Trippy, you probably and Lorianne, you probably know this better than me because I don't know. Has there been a president who's ever run one term and said, "No, I'm done. I'm never doing it again"?
Lyndon B. Johnson, but he said he's not running for the nomination either. He said, I realize that the country's divided because of the Vietnam War, because of my handling of the Vietnam War, and I'm not accepting the nomination. Don't give me the nomination. I don't think he was even on the ticket for the nomination. This is entirely
Was he the
different.
only one?
As far as I know, he was the only one. Yeah.
You know,
As far as
Lorianne's great uncle was a president.
Great,
He
great,
was.
great, great. Yeah, well, both John Adams and John Quincy Adams.
Really? You have hierarchy in your wow.
Yes.
I married royalty,
Royalty.
although I'm not
That's
moving to Canada like the Prince and Meghan Markle. We're
No, you
staying
don't have
here.
to.
We're
Did
staying
they
here
ever,
in America.
did they move back though?
No,
Or are they
no, they're
no,
still in
they're still
Canada. Yeah.
Canada. I don't follow them.
No,
I have enough trouble
well,
following
it's
US
hilarious.
politics.
My friend texted me yesterday. He's like, "Dude, I just started watching Suits." He goes, "I didn't know the princess was on Suits." I'm like, "Where do you think Meghan Markle came from?"
Suits is a good show.
It is.
I like
We
it.
enjoyed that, did we not, Lorianne?
Mhm, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
like
all
it.
right, so back to we digress. We do go down some rabbit holes. Um, if he's the incumbent and says he wants to run, is he not the nomination automatically?
No, not necessarily. Generally, they do get the nomination, but it doesn't mean you're guaranteed. And it was never guaranteed. So anyway, you want to look at it, whether Trump lost or won the last election, he was not the incumbent this time, but he was the perceived incumbent. He still had to fit the role. I mean, there was a lot of people running for the nomination other than him,
Mhm.
Right.
and he got the
But
job.
the DNC has not given Biden the nod yet.
There's 99% delegates committed to Biden. That's how the process works. You show up at the delegation ready to vote for Biden because that's your sworn oath of office to do so. They can, if Biden gets on that stage and says, I release my delegates, then that would be a whole discussion of who those delegates want to see be the nominee.
Who
It would be
who is
unprecedented.
who are his delegates?
delegates are like either handpicked by him. I'm not sure exactly how they're handpicked, but they're literally voters. Just it could be you, could be somebody
it's
you.
not like a congressman or a
No,
senator.
no, no.
Oh,
They're citizens of the United States. They're not actually official government officials.
how am I not a delegate? I should be. Or Lorianne, you could become a delegate.
Well, Trump has a lot of people that want to be his delegate. I don't know how you get that position.
If
I
I was
would-
running for
Well,
president,
but the question really remains, do we think that either one of these men at this point, at their age, should be running our country?
Well, now we're coming down to the whole, has anyone in the last 5 elections, has anyone really won an election? Let's go back all the way back to Ronald Reagan or Obama's second term. Has anyone ever really won an
Yeah.
election?
yeah, Obama had that major landslide against
Mitt Romney.
He
no,
really won.
Not Obama. I'm sorry, Reagan had that big landslide
Reagan
against
really won, but
Mondale.
Reagan,
I would
but
say
he-
Reagan beat Mondale square and fair.
right.
I don't know about Bush Senior because I don't remember. That was
He
just
was
too long
riding
ago.
on the coattails of Reagan, so he won
Right.
one
and then-
job,
and then
one
he
time.
lost, and then
That
he
was
lost
my
the
first
bill.
election. That was my first election I got to vote in.
Right.
Bush
And
Senior?
did you
Senior.
vote for Bush or did you vote for Reagan, even though it was Bush's name on the ticket? Because really, there was a lot of love for Reagan.
Reagan ran.
I
two-
feel like
no,
Bush
Reagan
came
ran
and
too.
spoke. Bush came and spoke at my high school.
But
Really?
Reagan won too.
he did win too, but the first time around it was sketchy. But Jimmy Carter was a weak candidate, so you can really say. What I'm trying to say is a lot of times a president doesn't win the election. A lot of times a certain person loses. And it felt like Jimmy Carter lost the first time around. The second time Reagan was really popular and won the election.
He
hands
spanked. He
down.
spanked. Yeah, he spanked.
40, I think it was
Mondale.
49 state victory. It was huge.
Yeah.
And I think Obama in his second term really won the election hands down. But when you're looking at this election now, if just say we go to the Biden Trump ticket, I don't really even think Trump will win at this point. I think I'm just going to say that the whole idea of the debate was both presidents had their voters. The idea was who's going to get the swing voters. Seems
Well-
like because of his performance, Trump may get the swing voters.
Well,
But
I
there's
think. Let's go back to Obama's both. I think he won both of them pretty big.
No.
He
I'm
beat.
trying to think who he ran against the first time, and it was
What's his name with the chick?
It was John McCain with
John
Sarah
McCain,
Palin.
Sarah Palin, and I
No,
think
John McCain was very popular amongst Republicans. No,
but
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know.
John McCain, if you remember that particular election, he had a heck of a time even getting a nomination. He was literally out of money, and he was packing his own bag and getting on commercial flights, going to churches, knocking on doors. No, he really worked hard, and he really earned his nomination.
But I think
The
he got
thing
beat
that-
pretty fair and square.
He did get beat fair and square, but the reason he got beat fair and square again is because he lost the election because of Sarah Palin. She was a real drag on the ticket. They all thought she was going to be a big lift, and when they realized her shortcomings, she was a big drag on the ticket.
I didn't
So
know that
then-
about her.
Well, nobody did until she started speaking, and it was a little
Right.
concerning. That was John McCain's little "I'm the rebel. I'm going to pick somebody out of my hat," and it
Right.
bit him in the butt.
and then who did? Oh, Trump against Clinton.
And again, Hillary lost.
Mhm.
And Hillary lost, she could have won. If she would have just picked Bernie Sanders for her VP, she could have won. But it was
Sure.
all her
I-
ego.
I don't think any VP would have caused Hillary to win. Sorry.
Bernie Sanders had 14 million college program kids that were ready to get on the horse and sit in the line and vote for him.
That's
It would
because
have
he
pushed her
promised he
over
was
the
going to
top.
pay. He was going to pay
Pay
for
college and
off,
health care,
yeah.
and he was
Right.
he was an admitted
The
socialist.
millennials loved Bernie Sanders. They loved him.
Right. It would have pushed him over the top for sure. But she
But
picked Tim
She,
Kaine.
I'm sorry, but she is not the right woman.
Nobody thought she
at
was,
all.
but
I don't
But-
think she's ever the right woman. She's the
No.
right woman to suicide you, but that's about it.
Right.
no, but that's how she could have won with Bernie Sanders on the ticket. There's
no.
a
I
Maybe.
strongly disagree. Strongly disagree.
I don't know. There was
I remember the
she
first-
is
the first-
not a likable. You guys want to say how much you hate Trump? She is.
no. I
I'm
would say I
sorry.
hate,
She's a horrible person.
I would say I hate
have
Hillary as
taught-
much as I hate Trump.
I have taught Jeff not to use the word hate there.
Yes,
Well,
we are.
I said as much as he hates Trump,
No,
she's a
no, he
horrible
doesn't hate
person.
Trump. He just likes him.
No, I
I
love Trump.
didn't.
I don't think he's fit to serve. I've
Well,
never
let's
seen that
be
quality.
real. Biden definitely is not fit to serve. In fact, it's very sad that his wife, his family haven't like said to him, like, you've done your time.
Well, I think I read
You've made
something.
it. He became president. I mean, think about, he's run before and he didn't make it. You made it. You made your goal. Go rest, enjoy the rest of your life, go enjoy your family, just go and rest. I mean, it's almost sad. Like I was watching the debates and feeling very sorry for Joe Biden because
I agree. I said the same thing.
it was sad and hard to watch. The fact he was fumbling over his words, he couldn't. I mean, and I agree. Trump was like, I don't even know what he said. I couldn't tell you what he said either. He was like, and then he's talking about COVID, and then he went Medicare, and he's all over the place. And
Well, and I
it's,
think I read somewhere, and I don't know, maybe you read this too, Jeff. His family sat down with him and they decided that they want to support him to run for a second term.
that's wrong.
I thought his family wasn't going to support him. They were going to tell him to step down.
Well, I think he's got more of an argument than anybody else at his age. He did watch his one son die of brain cancer. He watched his wife die in a car accident. I think he's got a lot of if he says he wants to do something, they're going to support him. I do think they should support the idea of him saying it's time for me to get out. And I don't think he'll make it through another term. And the other thing is he doesn't have a strong vice president, which is concerning.
No.
So
And that's the funny thing.
but
If you look at the,
my biggest concern at this point, and not to discuss it, but what I saw in Trump's first term, and I know you said you were doing great financially, and I said I wasn't, and I showed you the examples of where I fell short. It's not a matter of did the president run the economic policy better, or did Biden or Trump run it better? It's a matter of I'm concerned with people who are saying that worked for him. And I'm not just talking about willy-nilly mid-level college kids that they brought in as interns. I'm talking about John Kelly. I'm talking about General Mattis. I don't know his first name. That's why I'm using it. John Bolton, who was never beloved by the Democrats, who was never even confirmed to be the U.S. ambassador to the UN, saying this guy's not right for the job. So I'm not basing when sometimes Zach says I base my opinion on personal feelings. I'm basing my opinion on the simple fact if he applied for a job as a car salesman and people that worked in the dealership said I've worked with this guy at another dealership and he was just doing things completely wrong, don't hire him. I'd be concerned if they hired him. And that's just not my personal opinion. Like I said, I just named three. There was one other who was a mid-level staffer that I didn't name. But when you're talking about John Kelly, a Gold Star, lost his son in Afghanistan. When you're talking about General Mattis, who ran the Marines in Lebanon, who ran the Marines, and who ran ISIS under Trump's watch out of Syria. When you're talking about John Bolton, who whatever you think of him is a national security genius, and I'm not a fan of his, but he is a national security genius second to none in the country, saying this guy's not right for the job, that raises concerns of mine. So then you say, well, what about Biden? They're saying now the Biden staff is saying he's cognitive from 10 to 4. And then you say, well, what happens after 4? What happens if Russia launches a nuclear missile at midnight and we're trying to wake this guy up to even just enact the nuclear football and he can't do it? He's not cognitive because it's midnight and he's deep in sleep and he's 83 years old. It's a big concern. But
well,
that's the
but well,
problem.
but according to your girl Jean Claude Van Damme or whatever her name is, the press secretary, he just had a cold.
Well, when I talk about who's talking about who, I don't even know who that woman is, other than you just said she's the press secretary. When they hired her on as the press secretary, I stopped watching press releases from the White House. I
I
started going on
actually,
my
and I
own.
told you earlier, I preferred watching what's her name, Jen Psaki.
I thought
I
she did a
wasn't a
great
fan. I
job.
wasn't a fan of hers, but look, I was also not a fan of Huckabee's daughter.
Sarah Huckabee.
I thought she was a little. I don't know.
But you
The one who
know,
I really
she was
liked was
informed.
the
She was
what was
very
the
much like her dad. She was informed. I
I
didn't
like Governor Huckabee. I really like him a lot. What was the
she
one? Who was this? The press secretary towards the end of Trump, the blonde lawyer.
the young girl that everybody liked. She got her
I
shots in. She was
I thought she was
quick-witted. She
great.
was not informed though. She was quick-witted though.
I
And
think she did a phenomenal job.
So one reporter once asked her, for example, I'm just using one example. What happens? What will Trump say? What would Trump argue? Win, lose, or draw? And she said, "Why would he argue winning?" And everybody laughed. She was quick-witted.
Yeah.
I mean, she was good at what she did, but informed she wasn't. When it came to tough questions, she fumbled. Sarah Huckabee didn't fumble. A lot of people didn't like her,
I think
but
maybe I didn't like Sarah Huckabee because she spoke very flat.
she was informed.
I
She knew the job.
you got your point across with the information, but I'm just saying.
I mean, I would like to
I
see
like to
that in the
see
Trump.
some in,
But I always say when I bash the Democrats, I bash them. But I'm always asking the question: what is so hard about Republicans finding fault in Trump, acknowledging
I
fault in
gave you
Trump?
one thing that I had fault in.
One thing.
That's the one
But what
thing.
about? You really think in 4 years of the presidency, you can only find one thing he did wrong?
You know what?
And I'm not even talking about behavioral. I'm not talking about when he lashed out and young reporters picked to be a part of the pool press, and he said that's a stupid question. It's like, you're the president.
I loved when he would do that. I enjoyed
Compose
that.
yourself.
No, I enjoyed that.
But you shouldn't do that as the president, especially
Well,
when you're talking
that's
about people.
probably why I shouldn't be president.
But will
Because
we ever?
I'd be
Will
fake
any of
news.
us?
You're
Would any
fake
of us
news.
ever be?
You're fake news.
I don't know. I am seriously concerned about the
I
fact
look, I have my concerns about
that's my baby.
I see him. I did he get his braces yet?
He got his braces.
Is he in
Yeah.
pain?
No, they cleared up after a week.
Oh, good for him. Because I
Yeah.
remember that they were painful. My concern, I think, as Lorianne was alluding to also, is age. We have to, I mean, he's gonna go in both of them. Whoever wins will be the oldest president we've ever had.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we don't have somebody who's young and like
Well, I'm starting to understand it. I'm starting to
I mean,
realize
look
if
at
the
John
president,
Kennedy. I was not alive when John Kennedy was. Well, was I alive? No, when did he get killed? 66?
69.
yeah, so you were 4.
No, I was one.
I was 4.
I was born in 68.
No, I was born in 67. I was 2.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't remember Kennedy, but I do remember my parents who were staunch conservative Republicans saying they were not fans of the Kennedy. I can hear the dogs barking. They were not fans of the Kennedy family or some of the things he did, but they said he was very like he was a charismatic president. He was an enjoyable guy to listen to. Kind of like I was not a fan of Obama, but when he spoke, that dude was smooth like silk. But to me,
Right.
that's a used car salesman.
But and a lot of people like the way Trump spoke. I didn't. I thought it was at times inappropriate at best. You have to be a
Wow.
professional.
Well, I'm inappropriate.
Well,
So I enjoy it.
Biden was name calling, and I think Trump held his tongue because in any other circumstances he would have fired right back. But I mean,
And,
Biden
well,
was
the only thing
slinging
that I
the
felt-
mud just as much.
I think the only thing that
So
I
let me say
felt
this.
about
I
hold on.
agree.
Oh, thank you. But the only thing that I felt about the CNN side, like you said, is biased, right? They had the 7-minute delay or whatever it was. They kept dumping his microphone or cutting him off when he started babbling, which they were protecting him, in my opinion. Or they just didn't want America to see how bad off he is. I don't know.
Well, they saw it.
Yeah, you saw it regardless. And
Well, and
I
now,
find
now they're showing the behind the scenes where, he had to be helped off the stage.
yeah, his
Right.
wife had to help him
It's
off stage.
concerning. Right.
And then at the after party, I don't know if he even knew where he was. It was very like to me, I would hope that my wife would not parade me out on display like that.
That's
If
what I'm
I'm that bad.
saying. The family should be like, Mom, Dad, it's enough. Like,
Let the guy rest and enjoy his golden
I
years.
know.
He could go hang out in his Corvette with his sunglasses and eat ice cream.
So here's the thing. You see the deterioration in him, but do you know that deterioration could start at any point in Trump as well?
100%.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with that.
I-
He's only what, 2-3 years younger?
But
And he's not healthy compared to Biden's healthy living standards. Trump's nearly 100 pounds overweight. Biden's actually probably physically, not mentally for certain, healthier than Trump. But
well,
my concern is, and what we were
but
trying
Trump
to talk
does live
about,
on Diet Coke and Big Macs.
so does Warren Buffett. He's 93 and running the world's biggest conglomerate. It's Trump himself, though.
You know, it's funny. I've seen Trump where he slims down and then he plumps up. he reminds me of Luther Vandross, where there was Big Luther and Little Luther. It is what it is. I mean,
He's on the big side now, I would think. He
he
looked
is.
like he was on the
I
big
saw
side.
him playing golf the other day, and yeah, he looked like he had put on a few LBSs. I saw him out on the green.
So then you gotta wonder, because we do know what Biden's bringing to the table. Who's going to be Trump's vice president? Because if you say it's one of these four, for Trump and his loose cannon he could pick General Flynn for all you know, and then you
I
got to
sent you
be
the list. Didn't I send you the list of the
right. The
possibilities? I thought
possibility,
it was.
J.D. Vance.
JD Vance, Mark Rubio, I can't remember the other guys.
And I just wonder
Oh, the governor from North Dakota.
Yeah.
who no one
And
knows anything
I
about,
don't
other
know
than
anything.
other than they ran off, or it wasn't even them, but the movement ran off Cheney's daughter or wife.
But well, he's also a self-made billionaire like Trump.
I read in one article, and granted, there's so many different articles, that he's still dancing around maybe Dr. Ben Carson.
Who's concerning because he doesn't have the cleanest record on financial file.
When 2016, and they were talking to Ben Carson, would you be Trump's vice president? In 2016, he said no. So just because Trump's thinking about it doesn't mean Carson would do it.
You don't think he'd try and talk DeSantis to go with him?
There was something you said about two people from Florida. One would have to move.
Yeah, Rubio.
Yeah. So
Rubio.
I didn't know that was in the Constitution, that both the president and the vice president cannot be from the same state.
I never knew that either until Zach told me the other day.
Right.
But
so one of them would have to move.
So how did that work with the 13 colonies? Weren't they all from Virginia?
so if you're going to go on this theme, now this is my question again, because you're talking about a narcissistic guy. If you're going to go on the theme that you are the conservative, that you are the one that's representing the conservative movement in America, why wouldn't you just pick Ted Cruz as your running mate? Why wouldn't he even just be on your short list at this point? Because you know why I think? Is because I think Ted Cruz will outshine him at every moment of the day under a joint ticket.
And I think I feel that probably could be the same way with DeSantis too.
I don't see the things people see about DeSantis, really. I see Ted Cruz being a judge, being a really conservative senator. I've seen his creative ways as a legislator, and something he created, I don't agree with it, but I've never seen anything about DeSantis's legislation record. Even Republicans have said, we don't even know how to interpret the crap he sends to us. We vote for it because he's a popular governor, but we don't know how to implement it. But when you look at Ted Cruz, for example,
but do you think the actual governor writes his own legislation, or he has a team?
No, but I can tell you who did. Ted Cruz wrote this piece of legislation before Roe versus Wade got overturned, and in Texas, it got passed. It didn't pass. It got overturned by the Supreme Court. But for 4 years, it was enacted as law. It was called a trap law. So it's called targeted regulation against abortion providers. And so essentially, one step of it was a small abortion clinic was held to the same standards as a giant hospital. So they had to have these sliding glass doors that would facilitate a giant gurney that you would bring in from an ambulance. Those smaller abortion clinics didn't have that kind of facility. They had to come in the back door, an exterior door. Ultimately, Ted Cruz's creative legislative record and creative legislation thinking shut down most of the abortion clinics in Texas. Ultimately, the Supreme Court ruled against it, that it wasn't constitutional what he did. But for 4 years, they were closing abortion clinics in Texas because of that trap law that Ted Cruz really engineered. So why wouldn't you want that guy? You've got this guy. Everybody says he's your nominee. Hands down, he knocked Nikki Haley out of the ballpark. He knocked anybody else even. I thought Chris Christie had a chance, had no chance. Trump got. Why wouldn't he pick?
He was too busy making a sandwich.
Why wouldn't he pick a real running mate? And you're telling me,
but we don't know. Nobody knows who he's going to pick.
These are the short list that was just released did not include Ted Cruz. But that's my question.
I don't think that was from Trump. I think that's all speculation.
Right. I think it's people speculating. I don't
know. Just like I sent you the list of possible Democrat presidential nominees, because it's all speculation. Nobody knows. We won't know till when's the final day they have to announce it.
The point I'm alluding to is Trump is not the Trump he was in 2016. I haven't heard build the wall. I haven't heard revoke Obamacare. All I've heard is what the Heritage Foundation is feeding him. And all I've seen is an opportunist wanting to be president again for one, revenge, and two, covering his own ass in certain legal aspects.
But
And I don't
but
trust that.
who's he going to have revenge with?
I don't know.
Is he
I
gonna
really
is he
don't.
going to send the ladies of the View to another country? Because I'm voting
I
for him
don't.
just because of that. I'm voting for him.
I mean, I literally heard his attorneys argue, and they won the case, but I think ultimately they didn't win it as strongly as they would have wanted to. In the Supreme Court, it's not a matter of winning the case; it's also about how they write the ruling. But one Supreme Court justice asked Trump's attorney, "So you're telling us if the president orders SEAL Team 6 to take out his running opponent, then he would be covered by immunity?" And the lawyer said yes. So I don't know
but
if he thinks he
I don't
has
think we discussed this earlier, and this is part of the thing we're going to discuss tonight too. There, those videos I sent you, of course, are just wackadoo liberals who are,
But then ones you sent me are not even elected officials, not even the wackadoo conservatives too. I mean, people are publishing stuff on Instagram to get followers.
right.
We don't know if anything's true that we're watching. What you send me, typically we don't know if it's really true or if it's really even warranted to
It's on the
believe
internet,
at
Jeff.
all.
It's true. No,
Well,
Are you
but
talking
like,
about the people who are telling Biden he should take out Trump?
yes, and what we need to do is you need to
well,
dissect
is he an elected official?
who.
The one that said if I were Biden, I would order Trump whacked.
That was one of them was actually a British official. I don't know who he was.
A British guy in
Yeah.
like not a U.S. government official, right?
I guess.
Because I don't think there's that much animus between candidates and between elected officials, really. I think they're all playing a game with us, and we're the ones basically losing the game, and they're the ones.
Oh, I'm
getting
sorry.
ripped.
It's a prominent British BBC presenter, and he said that he ought to have President Trump murdered before the 2024 election. But then we have a bunch of what nut jobs, and I'm sure it's on both sides, saying that he'll get immunity. That's not how it works. They need to
No,
research.
that's not how the Supreme Court ruled it.
Right. You can't kill somebody. I don't care if you're the president. You're not immune from murder.
No, So here was
Murder.
my understanding of the Supreme Court ruling, and liberals just lashed out that this conservative Supreme Court was protecting Trump. They weren't protecting Trump. They were literally protecting presidents like Biden, because there could
Did
have
you just
been
call him Biden?
no Obama. I meant to say Obama.
I knew it.
There could have been a movement saying Obama ordering the shoot to kill order on bin Laden. They could have said you just ordered the death of a religious Muslim imam, and we do not do that in America.
So,
And so you have that immunity, and that's what the Supreme Court was ruling is you are the president. You've got to make some really tough decisions.
Isn't that an act
And
of
it's
war, though?
not.
when you did that?
I'm using bin Laden as an example, but there was the British ISIS guy. They had a name for him in Syria, and he was the British guy with the British accent, literally chopping heads off. And it wasn't us that took him out, but if it was us that sent an F-16 and fired a missile under the president's order, we just killed a British citizen. So he would have immunity under this Supreme Court ruling, which he should have.
Because that is time of war.
So when I listen to liberals lashing out at the six conservatives, I like these. I don't like Clarence Thomas and I don't like Daniel Alito, but I love Amy Coney Barrett. I love Justice Roberts. I'm not a fan of Gorsuch, but I'm a big fan of Kavanaugh, which even surprises me now. But I see the good in conservative movement. I just don't understand why they can't just acknowledge that Trump is a flawed candidate. Whenever you point that out, people are like, literally, people tell me that's fake news, and I'm like, no, it's not. I'm not just reading.
Here's the
They say you're reading
problem.
Clinton News Network. No, I've got it from other sources. I'm not watching
Communist News Network.
Oh, I thought it was Clinton News Network.
Saying either or. No, but here's and listen, we've discussed this before. Anybody who's on the Republican team, I say anybody, the majority of the people that I know are very much pro Trump and want him to win because we don't have anyone else. So we're loyal to our team. Right. So you ask me all the time, if there was somebody else, would I vote for them or would I vote for Trump? You have to prove to me that you're better than my person that I want. and then I'm gonna go ahead and make that decision. But
Well,
right now,
so-
I'm loyal to the team.
Okay, but let me add to that. You know, the reason why I vote more skewed Republican is because those values line up with what I believe. I believe that God created marriage between a man and a woman. And that
Oh, you're getting
the
canceled.
relationship of God and Jesus, you know, coming back for us is the image of a marriage. And so anything outside of that, to me, it goes against the word of God. I believe that every life is precious, so I don't believe in abortion. I will never support abortion. I don't care if it's 8 weeks, 8 months, whatever in between. The moment of conception is life, and I will always support that. So just in a couple of things like that, I can't vote for people who don't support my beliefs. And I'm not gonna vote for people who don't support my beliefs. So for right now, whoever is on this side and supporting that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that children shouldn't be getting their breasts cut off or doing all of that gender transitioning crap, I'm going to vote over here, whether it's Trump representing that or anyone else. I'm going to vote that. I'm basing what my beliefs, who I want for president. And that's the beauty of our country. We should all be able to vote for who we want. So the fact that if they take Biden out and they place somebody in without giving the American people the opportunity to choose, that's wrong. That's wrong. And if we don't wake up and see that, we have a democracy for a reason. It's we the people. They work for us. So we should have a say on who goes into that White House.
I
Well, I
agree.
can honestly say I
Because what if there's
agree.
a Democrat that comes in? I don't know of one, but would stand. Then he'd be Republican. But what if there was a Democrat that more aligned with a lot of our thoughts and
But what if,
values?
just say this, okay? Just say they do replace Biden, and logistically they're saying it's really not feasible. But just say there's a lot of legal experts on the Democratic side who could find a way to skin the cat to replace Biden. What if they replaced him with a guy like John Kasich, a middle of the road guy? Because when you consider,
I don't know
you
where
say
John Kasich
Trump,
stands.
he was a middle of the guy. He was a moderate Republican. He was a center right guy. He was not really a true conservative.
Is he the Ohio governor?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
I
and
still I don't know about. I just know the name.
he was center right. Or Joe Manchin, who's a center right Democrat. What if it's Joe Manchin? Because when you think of abortion, for example, I agree. But if my wife was in trouble, yes, I would sponsor
Okay,
it.
so that's the argument. I don't care. I mean, yes, obviously, if a woman's life is in jeopardy, then that's an issue. But let's face it, abortion today is used as birth control, and that's not okay. It's used as, I don't want this complication in my life. Well, you certainly wanted that orgasm last
But you
night,
guys,
didn't you? And now you're going to go take care of this complication. So I have no issue like when lives are on the line and things like that. But for abortion to just be across the board, I mean, let's go back to the history of why abortion was even created. It was created to keep the Black population under control. That's why it was
by the
created
Democrats.
by the Democrats, and here we are. So I will never support a candidate who stands and wants abortion. I will never support them, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, because I'm sure there's plenty of rhinos out there and dinos, whatever you guys call fake Democrats, but I won't support them. And Trump is against abortion.
Isn't Tulsi Gabbard? Wasn't she a Democrat?
yeah, but I don't know what she is now. I don't know
I don't
if
think
she's actually a Republican or if she's an independent, if she's even in politics. But when you take the question of abortion and you look at it in the simplest of terms, Roe versus Wade required the 50 states to allow abortions. Roe versus Wade being overturned did not stop abortion. What it said was the 50 states could monitor the procedure.
They put it back into the state's hands.
They put it back to the states.
And I've told people, Mario Cuomo argued, Governor Mario Cuomo of New York argued when Trump said, I'm going to tell the states to do this. Mario Cuomo argued there are no kings in America. So what the Supreme Court did was in line with one of the most beloved liberals in the country. There are no kings in America. Correct. Now, this Supreme Court just went to the extent of hearing another and ruling on another case of abortion where if an emergency procedure is required, in some states they were saying no matter what, doctors could be fined and imprisoned for proceeding with an abortion. The Supreme Court said no. So you've got a Supreme Court that can logistically juggle, even with their conservative point of views, how abortion should really work in a lot of people's eyes. And I've said 100%. I agree with this Supreme Court on the notion of abortion or on the ruling of abortion.
But
But
if
for
the
me to
Supreme Court
hear
is a federal thing, how does it tell you? How does it tell the states what to do?
the Supreme Court's the final say. Roe versus Wade required the 50 states to allow abortions. That's why I was talking about the trap laws that the very creative Senator Cruz created, bypassing that Supreme Court ruling. By overturning Roe versus Wade, it was Hobbs versus something. They said now the 50 states can their legislators can legislate the procedure or not allow it at all. There was a state or two that said under no circumstance was a woman to have an abortion, and if that procedure was done by a doctor, the doctor would be fined and imprisoned. The Supreme Court just ruled that unconstitutional. So I've said, but to give Trump the credit that that's how abortion's been streamlined is by Trump. What Trump did was get lucky. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on his watch in enough time for Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham to get a new Supreme Court, which is a nightmare of a process, but they did it probably working 24 hours a day, but they got Amy Coney Barrett.
Go watch The West Wing. They do a great episode on how they had to approve a Supreme Court justice, and I have no doubt it went through the whole vetting process that they showed.
No, Amy Coney Barrett was always assumed to be the next Supreme Court.
Have you ever watched The West Wing?
No, I do need to watch that.
Well, you should, because Jed Bartlett, played by Martin Sheen, is a Democratic president. That would be a president I would vote for.
Well, I would vote for a lot of Republicans to be president, including, if there were the option, John Roberts, the Supreme Court Chief Justice. I love him. But I just have never understood. I feel like Republicans, not you guys, but they're sworn to protecting Trump. And I've said it.
No, I've said it from the maybe I agree. All right, maybe there are some who you don't see a MAGA hat on me, you don't see a Trump sticker on my car. I'm not all about that. I support my candidate. I'm loyal to it. But there's people who are
that
a little
support,
overboard. I get
that
it.
support cost you a better candidate, possibly.
We don't know that because I've never seen a better candidate. We haven't had anybody that they brought in to change my mind.
Some people looking at not the record, not the position, not the demeanor. Some people now looking at these two guys like the movie Grumpy Old Men are starting to rethink maybe we should have given Nikki Haley a chance. But there was no hope of that.
She's the right woman either. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm just talking about age now. We cannot keep. Who's the net in 2028? Who's going to run for president when they look at how these guys have just been dragged through the mud?
Well, if Trump gets elected according to.
But I always talk about Ramaswamy. He made this promise.
You froze.
No, he's still.
Am I back?
Maybe you froze.
So Ramaswamy, I lost. And we got the premier Zoom now. So Ramaswamy made this promise. He was going to eliminate the FBI, the IRS, and there was one other department. And I always remember when Reagan
anyway.
Okay. When Reagan was campaigning for president, he promised to eliminate the Department of Education, the Department of Energy, and again, one other department. And they all grew in size and scope under his 8 years as president. And I guarantee you, when a president makes those kind of crazy promises like Ramaswamy did, the FBI and the IRS would have grown in size and scope on whatever time he spent in office. It's a silly promise to make.
I agree with you on that. I have problems, and we've agreed 100% on this together, that all politicians are liars, because I have problems when they make promises.
Well, when you make that kind of crazy promise, like Clinton promised to
Trump on the debate floor said he was going to put Hillary in jail.
That's a little different. That's Trump's rage, and I found it kind of funny when he responded. When she said, "Could you imagine? Could you imagine a man like this being president?" And he said, "Oh, you'd be in jail," and everybody laughed. I found it funny. But
we agree, politicians are liars. So we do need someone who's not a politician, more of a businessman. I remember this was back Steve Forbes at one point he tried to throw his hat in the ring to run for president. And I went to listen to him. I went and saw him speak, and I was very impressed with him, but he didn't make it very far in the primaries and he dropped out. And that's when I was like, we do need a businessman who could run this country. Too bad Ross Perot, looks like a little rodent and can't communicate effectively. But
My fellow Americans. My fellow
at the
Americans.
time in 2016, Trump was offering something different. He wasn't a career politician. He was offering something different. He was a businessman. Yeah. And he had successful businesses. He also went bankrupt, but he knew what it'd take to be successful. And I think at the time, he was a breath of fresh air that we needed. Is he still that breath of fresh air right now? I don't know. But right now, this is who is like, what's happening right now in the White House, people are not happy with. So they're looking for a change. And he offered the change in 2016. And I think that's why people are hanging on to his coattails now, because they think he's back and he's ready to bring another breath of fresh air. So is he? I don't know. Does he have crotchety old stale air? I have no idea. But right now, people want change. People want change.
I've always
want change. I'm not happy with the direction our groceries going. Grocery shopping is ridiculous. The gas prices are ridiculous.
Oh yeah, did you see gas shot up
Why
about
did
20 cents?
why? Explain to me why we stopped the pipeline. Immediately when Biden got in office, that's one of the first things he did. Why? Do we know? What was the rationale for that?
Did you freeze, Jeff? It looks like Jeff froze.
Or I bored him to death. I don't know.
I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties. It looks like our other host froze because he tried to...
coming from Alaska.
Oh, there he is. You froze for a minute, buddy. We lost you.
You were frozen.
Did I not? Nobody heard anything?
No.
I was like, he's not talking.
I thought
Why
you
is
look
he not responding?
not for nothing. I thought you were pulling a Biden on us and you fell asleep during an interview.
No. Okay, so I'm going to answer that question. I thought it was wrong to stop the pipeline. Completely wrong. I was under the impression the oil was coming from Canada. Be that as it may, I was fine with the oil coming from Alaska through Canada. And then I said, well, then even better, we're avoiding another Exxon Valdez incident. But
it didn't even run through any water. It ran through land. So even if it spilled on land.
So I agree. It was silly to stop the pipeline. We have a friend who is working on the pipeline. He actually paints our house when he's not out doing something like that.
Well, and also
I thought it was crazy that they stopped it. But politically, and that's what politicians do. He aligned himself with his party very well doing that. And that's why he did it. But would I rather see a pipeline than another offshore drilling rig that's going to explode like the BP one did? Yeah, I'd rather see a pipeline, because when pipelines fail, you get very little leakage and then it's easily resolved. When you've got a giant rig in the middle of an ocean and you can't even get to the bottom of it for 6 months and it's spewing 100 million barrels of oil a day into our ocean, no, I don't want that.
Right.
So as far as the pipeline, I don't know. He stopped it because it was the way to align himself very well with his party. And that's what America's all about.
But the sad thing is he had tens of thousands of Americans who lost their jobs.
I agree. I just said my friend was working on the pipeline. I don't know exactly what he was doing. And when he doesn't have that kind of work, he paints houses in the area. And he did our inside and out.
And then the other thing is, look, we haven't touched on the border in a while, but he stopped the building of the wall of the border, and he just opened the floodgates. So,
well, the wall is a metaphor. So when you think of the wall, think of sensors on the ground.
Texas.
I know, but it's not a whole wall. There's places where there is no wall. There's places where they have to leave the wall wide open because of weather. And in those areas are sensors on the ground to detect body heat. When they detect a lot of body heat, they send drones over to see what it is. When those drones determine what it is, they send over in people to retrieve the people coming across. So the wall is a metaphor. It's not working for Trump anymore. He's not even talking about the wall. And there was legislation. Now, this is real, and you could say it's fake news. There was a piece of legislation that everybody said was the harshest piece of legislation for border control ever. And Biden agreed to sign it. And Trump told the Crazy Eight do not let that get through the House because I want immigration to be my issue during the campaign. We have a piece of legislation that would have been very strong on the border.
Fake
And
news.
he says that, but if you look it up in detail, that was what a lot of people were saying. And Biden said, yeah, I'll sign it.
But
And
now
it
he
didn't
says
hit
he's
his,
got a very aggressive immigration policy in place. But if you read it, it lowered how many can come across the border, but they're still coming across the border.
well, people are always going to come across the border. And I've said this is why.
I don't think it ever
And
was this way. I mean, I've seen video where there's
when we take ownership,
thousands walking over.
literally, I watched Fox News panning around with cameras at the border, and what I saw was mothers holding children, and the reason being because our consumption of their drugs is decimating Mexico's ability to function as a country. And if
I
there
will
was
send
no
you
demand
videos
for their drugs, there would
of
be no
that.
drug dealers in Mexico. And there was mothers walking across difficult terrain with babies in their arms and a bottle of water in their other arm, and that was Fox News video. And it
I will
was
send you video of them interviewing um war age soldiers coming across. And it's
well, they
all
are
guys as far as you
absolutely.
can see.
They are, but I'm telling you, yeah, they were there too.
I
But
also
in
saw a
that,
video of CNN where your girl AOC was at the border crying.
yeah, well, she's not my girl. She's not. I don't even like her. I don't even know what is the acronym? Another obnoxious child? Because I don't even know who she is. And she doesn't represent me. What I did respect about her, and it's what we've all talked about inadvertently, is she
Yeah.
was a young person that grabbed a clipboard and somehow got the job. And I would like to
Because
see
she
more
found
people do
someone who
that.
was asleep on the job and she took his lunch.
No, he took for granted the nomination, but
That
have we
too.
seen that anywhere else?
She
Because I
waited
give
for it
her,
and she took his lunch money. I mean, I'll give her that. She did a good
yeah.
job, but now she needs to go back to bartending. She's done enough.
Well, she's not going nowhere. Why would she? Because that's the idea of the House by our founding fathers was you serve 2 years, you bring what you think is your community concerns to Washington, and then you go home back to your farm, or then you go back home to back to your grocery store. She's not going to go back. She's literally living large in Washington. You go to the best lunches. They talk about the House cafeteria. It's no cafeteria. It's probably like Ruth Chris. I mean, she's literally going downstairs. Talk about they say this House public transportation. It's not like getting on a train in New York City. It's like getting in a limousine. Yeah, it's a big car,
Speaking
but
of
it's a
transportation,
lifestyle they're not willing to give up.
speaking of transportation, did you see one of them that was on the list was Buttigieg?
Yeah, but who believes that?
They were talking about it on the radio this morning.
But
It
who?
actually,
What about?
I don't know where they got it, but maybe they saw the same post I saw. But he was one of the names on the list, and they're like, he can't even do his job right. How would he be president? And the only reason I think the Democrats would pick him is because he's a married gay man with biracial
They're
children.
not picking him.
No?
These silly lists are like Trump's short list. The only thing I would say about Trump's short list is if I were Trump, I'd say that's not my list. My list is
I think I actually appreciate Trump. He's keeping a tight lip on it. I think it's pretty good of him. Because usually, he
I would
likes to
say
boast
that's
in
not
the
my
job.
list. I don't know where that crap came out, and that's not. It could. Those people could or could not be on my list. I haven't released the list.
He's
He
playing
likes
the
the
game.
little game.
I
Yeah,
know he's
well,
playing the game. I like the game.
allegedly he wasn't a game player in the beginning. He was the game changer.
Is that what he was?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I use that word often. Listen, we could talk about this all night, but hey, we probably got to wrap it up. I don't even know how long we've been on for. Do you?
You can't tell. We got
No, it
They
doesn't
should
have a
have-
timer anymore.
because we're on. We could go on for 8 hours. You want to go on for
30
hours?
hours. 30 hours. 30 hours.
Is that what it is? Really?
Yeah, 30 hours.
Well,
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have stepped
before-
up to the Zoom
Hang
professional.
on, Lorianne was saying.
Wait, I was just gonna say, Charlie Kirk made a post. You know who Charlie Kirk is, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, so he made a post that said something big is gonna happen on July 11th.
So we got 8 days.
Right. Not sure, he won't say what it is, but he said, be ready, July 11th.
Maybe him and Ben Shapiro throw their hat in the ring.
I don't know.
I wish
but-
somebody would say I'm running for president now because you could still be on the ballot. There's a chance you could get
Well,
enough signal.
wanna
I don't
see
know,
if
but
can
did you see
find
they're
it.
trying to bury RFK now? They're bringing up all kind of dirt on him.
He buried himself. He was never a viable candidate. If
He's
he
a he's
was,
a
he would have
Kennedy.
been right.
Well,
I
and not for
mean,
nothing, I got to be honest with you. His voice alone, just I know he had something happen to him, but that drives me nuts.
not a fan of Kennedy's. I don't care who John, Bobby, Ted.
How about
I'm not a fan
what
of
about Arnold's
who was
wife?
the senator? That's a Shriver. I'm not a fan of Schwarzenegger's. I'm not a fan of Shriver's.
Well,
Arnold Schwarzenegger did
who's
not.
the Senator Kennedy now? Is he part of the family?
He's a son of John F. Kennedy.
No,
He was a child.
John F. Kennedy's son
He was
died.
the son under the desk, under the Oval Office, under the
No, John Jr. died.
John Jr. is one of his sons that died. That's another son.
Oh, I only thought he had one son.
There was a son, unless I'm wrong, I think that was the son that was pictured under the Resolute desk.
I don't know. But
I could be. I'd have to look that
all
up. But
right,
I
so
think that was his
now
son.
we're gonna have to wait till what date, dear? July
Well, I'm
11th?
trying to see if I can find his post so I don't misquote it.
Oh, fake news.
I don't want to,
Well, you're gonna get canceled already because of some of the things you said, so don't feel bad.
probably.
I like to get canceled. I don't know who I insulted
You're not
this
getting.
week, but I'm gonna
You
get
have the right
canceled.
idea because everybody thinks you're out of the country, so they're not going to cancel you.
I am not from here in America. I
I,
don't even know what kind of
yeah,
accent that was. Listen, I'm out
that
of my
was
cabin in the woods.
Do you know Obama did that accent? He got in a lot of trouble for it as president.
Which accent
He
did
was
he do?
doing. He did like an Indian
Oh,
accent.
don't tell me what you're talking about.
And then one time he said he looked like a retard bowling, and he
Oh,
got
you can't use that word.
no,
I
and he
use
had
it
to
all the
invite.
time.
He invited like the country's best retarded bowlers to White House bowling alley. You never heard about that? He
No.
literally had a whole event, and they had so much fun. It was so cute.
Oh my
But they
gosh.
were the country's best challenge bowlers. But
I
I
believe
thought
he's a retard.
he said I look like a retard bowling.
Gosh.
That and he got so much
Look,
trouble.
my wife's like, yeah, you guys are getting canceled.
That's no, I say that. I'm the one that told you
My
don't use that
favorite, one
word.
of my favorite people in the world was my cousin who's retarded.
I love special.
And she'll
soup.
tell you, someone say something to like a Publix bag boy who has a little issue or something, they're getting knocked out.
Yeah, I love special. They're awesome.
They got the biggest hearts in the world.
They do.
They
They're
love, love,
awesome.
love you. Although I watch this one comedian, I forget what his name is, and he talks about his brother who has special needs. He's retarded. And he's like, he's the meanest dude in the world. He's very
Oh, they
mean.
can fight.
Yeah.
There was I knew a kid. He wasn't retarded. He was extremely autistic, but he got older and very violent.
Really?
Very violent. Yeah, his mom was scared of him, and the dad had to retire to take care of him. The mom went back to work.
That's
The
crazy.
dad, she was scared. He got big. He got to be a big guy too.
Well, when we were little, my cousin was bigger than me because he was older than me, and he was way stronger until I grew up, and then he was just a little dude. He was awesome.
Well,
Though. Did you
well-
find what you were looking for, dear?
No,
All right. Well,
shoot.
it is what it is. So we'll see what happens after July 11th or whatever. I remember seeing the post. I think you're right. But well, hey, Lorianne, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Hey, don't
thanks for
forget.
having
I
me.
think you should be a staple at a show. I think you should be the. Well, how would we do that? One's a one. What do you say? One's an idiot. One's a
He has a
genius.
genius. Well, we're both
And there's
idiots, and
one-
we have
How
the
about
genius.
one-
we can call it Beauty and the Beasts.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, we got a whole new podcast coming out.
There you go.
Beauty and the Beast.
We still gotta get this one. We did better though. We got sound. Laura said the last one was the best sound we ever had.
Well, that's good.
We're getting
I
good
heard
at
there
it.
was some static in mine, but I don't know if that's from there was lightning or something going on. It could have been. I don't know. But hey, we're babbling with the camera still rolling, guys, and I
Right.
want
Oh,
to
yeah.
make sure we tell everybody how much we love them and thank them for watching us. Make sure they subscribe, comment, share, like everything else.
Tell us who's the idiot. Tell us
Yes.
who's the genius.
We all
Tell
know.
us we finally got a genius on the show.
Yeah.
Well, they may not think so after some of the comments I made, but we love you, America.
We love you,
the
America.
world
We're the
wide
world.
The whole
The
wide
World Wide
world.
Web.
world.
Yes.
Oh,
So
We
let us
went
know what you
World Wide Web.
think. Let us know what topics you guys want to discuss.
I don't have to do
It's
it
gonna be
anymore.
great.
She took my spot.
I just took it from you.
I'm gonna have you do
Yeah,
the intro
great
next time
job.
too. All right, thanks guys. We will talk again very soon. Y'all have a good night. Love you.